Hey guys, how's it going? This is Tim from Our Life in Pixels. Today, we've got a bit of a different video for you. Hi, Future Tim here. The reason that the video is so blurry is because this was actually being recorded using a composite to HDMI converter into a capture card. It's the only way that I can live capture PS2 games or Sega Genesis games or some of the older retro games that we're going to be recording more doing forward without emulation. So just wanted to throw that out there. The video is kind of low quality in this part, but that's partly due to the fact that it's running on a PS2 and partly due to the fact that, well, that is being blown up so that it can be played on a modern monitor. Anyway, enjoy the video. Thanks. So, obviously, I am not playing a modern game here. There's probably going to be a lot of people that see this and go, what the fuck is this? This looks like Mortal Kombat Mario Kart. And yes, that is what this is. This is called Combat Kart. It's a game mode in 2006's Mortal Kombat Armageddon. It came out for the PlayStation 2 and I believe the Xbox 360. There may have been a PS3 version of it as well. I'm not sure, but yeah, this is an old game. I got a capture card that's going to let me capture gameplay of some of these old games that I still own. So I'm going to be doing that from time to time. And with that, I wanted to talk about game preservation today. So we started this channel not just to cover news for new video games, not just to, show the new shiny toys that are coming out for consoles and the games associated with them. Like, yeah, that's cool. Like, we obviously want to do that for sure. But the whole idea behind Our Life in Pixels was to talk about video games and how they've impacted us throughout our lives, and how I've been playing video games since I was like 4. I've been a PC gamer since I was 8. I couldn't read and I was playing PC games, okay? Like, I was figuring it out. I've been playing, Sega Genesis as long as I can literally remember. Gaming has literally been a part of my life, my entire life. And when I was a teenager, there was never a time that was more true than that. An Xbox, PS2, Xbox 360 days, those were, because I didn't have a PS3, I had a 360, I shared it with my brother, and we had a PS2. One of us would play one, the other would play the other, and we'd switch, depending on what games we were going to play. Like, that was what we did. If we weren't doing that, I had Justin come over to the house and we played Quake. He'd sit at my mom's computer downstairs, I'd be on my computer upstairs, we'd be having a LAN party playing Quake, okay? Like, this is the kind of stuff that I did at that time. And this game was actually a big part of that. Armageddon is one of my favorite Mortal Kombats. At this point, for nostalgia reasons, because looking back at it now, the mid-2000s Mortal Kombat was like trash tier Mortal Kombat. It was like the worst of the Mortal Kombat games. There has never been, in my opinion, a bad Mortal Kombat game, but there's a reason that Midway Games died. And Netherrealm was formed, and Warner Brothers owns it now. And it's because these games weren't as good. And then Mortal Kombat 9 came along and kind of saved the day. So, big ups to NetherRealm for kind of reviving the franchise. It's one of the most valuable franchises on the planet, literally. Like, it's over $1 billion IP, and it's really come a long way since Armageddon. Like, Mortal Kombat 9, Mortal Kombat X, and Mortal Kombat 11 are 3 of the best fighting games made, in my opinion. There are people that will argue with that, but whatever. Like, those are my 3 favorites, okay, that I've played in the last decade. So that's kind of where that's at right now, is that, like, I have a lot of nostalgia for this, but this wasn't objectively, like, looking back at it now compared to other games, a great game. It's not. But that doesn't mean that this game should be lost to history. And the Library of Congress is actually taking steps to start preserving video games just like they do TV shows and movies and books, and that's awesome. That's really cool. But one of the games that I mentioned here in the last minute was Mortal Kombat 9. And that's kind of what kicked this off for me. A few months ago, I think I actually streamed this. I actually tried to play Mortal Kombat 9 on my Xbox One. This is an Xbox 360 game. Xbox has made like so many games backwards compatible. Like the vast majority of Xbox games, even going back to the original Xbox era, they'll work on a Series X. Series S doesn't have a disc drive, so I can't play them on my Series S. I don't have a Series X. So I'm like, all right, I'll play it on my Xbox One. Should work. Mortal Kombat 9, an Xbox 360 game, the game that I just said saved the franchise. That game is not backwards compatible. It came out in 2011. That's not like some ancient, decrepit game that shouldn't work well on modern hardware. But it doesn't work. And I own it on Steam, so if I really want to, I can just like install it on Steam and play it there, but you can't buy it on Steam anymore. If you search for Mortal Kombat 9 on the Steam store, it's gone. And it happened around the time, I want to say it was around the time Mortal Kombat X launched. It could have been as Mortal Kombat 11 was coming out. That's just a piece of gaming history that, like, people won't be able to play now. Like, yeah, you might be able to find a functioning physical copy, but if you don't have a working Xbox 360, now you got to buy an Xbox 360. And retro hardware is actually quite expensive. If you look up right now the current cost of an Xbox 360, it's actually more than you would think, because we're kind of past the point where they got super cheap when the Xbox One launched. Like if I look up right now, Xbox 360, $200 refurbished, $180 used. You probably can find them cheaper. Yeah, there's one, eBay, $59. Who knows what kind of shape that's going to be in, though, because it's eBay. So if you're lucky, you buy a $50 Xbox 360 and it's working, but then you got to buy the game and a physical copy of Mortal Kombat 9. I don't know how much that would cost. Let's check. Mortal Kombat 9. Xbox 360. Let's see. Yeah. $25. You might be able to find it cheaper used at GameStop or something, but that's just the first listing I saw was $25. So, okay. So you're looking at spending $85 to play a 10-year-old game. And if you already own it, you know, $50 for new hardware if your Xbox 360 dies. But it's not like there are an infinite number of Xbox 360s. As time goes on, more and more of them will fail. I don't like that premise. That someday that game's just going to be dead to the world. You can still play NES titles through emulation. You're a dirty pirate. Or, if you have Nintendo Switch Online, Nintendo is starting to actually introduce their game library back into the world, and that's cool. I think that's the way to go. I think that's what more of these companies should be doing. Hell, you know, we all know, if Nintendo really wanted to, like, push their retro game titles, we'd buy that shit. People would buy that. I would buy Pokemon Blue. For the Switch? Hell yeah, I'd buy that. I would buy the Lord of the Rings Game Boy Advance game for the Switch. For the nostalgia factor alone, man. But it's harder to sell that. So these game companies don't want to do that. And then you get, you know, pirates emulating the games, and those emulation sites get shut down and sued. And in some cases cost the people running those sites hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. There was a recent lawsuit, relatively recent, where literally a guy was, I think he was accepting donations, or maybe he was allowing people to pay for faster downloads of ROMs. And that's really what got him, because he was making money from it. But Nintendo took him to court and took everything he had. The website's gone now. Like, it's crazy. When these companies could just do it themselves and make money on it. Like, make no mistake, I would definitely, if you wanted to let me buy a version of Mortal Kombat Armageddon that was going to run on the Xbox Series and let me play in 60 plus FPS instead of this, you're damn straight I'd buy that. They're not going to do that, but in my opinion, they should. And the thing that drives me nuts is Mortal Kombat 9. Again, that's not this. That's not an ancient title. That looks like a modern title. It doesn't necessarily look like a modern AAA title, but if you were to tell somebody, hey, this is a new fighting game from a small indie studio, it could be believed that it was modern. So it drives me nuts that that game has been pulled from markets. You can't buy that now. That's absurd. To me, I'm going to speculate here, okay? So, now the excuse that I've heard people put out there is that, you know, Freddy Krueger's in that game, and they have, you know, these movie character crossovers that they do with Mortal Kombat. That the license was expiring, so they can't sell it anymore because the licensing for that character is expiring. I think it was particularly, I think it was Freddy. Warner Brothers owns Mortal Kombat. Warner Brothers owns Netherrealm. Warner Brothers owns Freddy Krueger. I don't fucking buy it, man. I don't. Warner Brothers owns Predator. So what's going to happen when MK12 comes out? You stop selling copies of MKX on Steam? Probably. And the excuse will probably be licensing. But realistically, they just don't want you buying the old game, undercutting the new game, because it's back to 2D now. You don't have this 3D kind of arena fighting game trying to be Soul Calibur when it's not type deal that the mid-2000s Mortal Kombat games were doing. You know, it's all a 2D fighting game, and Mortal Kombat 9, Mortal Kombat 10, and Mortal Kombat 11 are very similar. Like, they're different games, but barely? They're different in a lot of ways, but the way that they play is a lot faster paced than a lot of fighting games that are out there. It's obviously a lot more violent with the fatalities and the brutalities, and you get a similar experience playing the three of them. I speculate that they intentionally cut off sales for 9 to drive sales for 10 and 11. You can't buy the old one, so you will buy the new. Maybe that's cynical. It makes good business sense. But from a game's perspective, not selling that game anymore means nobody else is going to play Mortal Kombat 9. If you don't already own it, good fucking luck. That game, more than any of the others, should really be a part of the history of the franchise, in my opinion. And it is just an opinion, but I think more about this than maybe I should, because I have had old hardware break on me, and I have had periods of years where I couldn't play these games. And finding old hardware can be goddamn hard if you're not looking online and you're not looking to pay crazy prices. If my PS2 dies on me tomorrow, let's just say it does. Let's just say my PS2 tomorrow craps out on me. The noise you just heard was me opening up. Let's just see PS2 Slim. How much does that cost right now? Yeah, if it dies on me tomorrow, my PlayStation 2 Slim would cost me anywhere from $100. That's not too bad. I'm sure there are cheaper ones out there, but I'm just going based on what I'm seeing. Here's one for $50, I don't know if it says it's not tested. Oh, that's good. They don't even know if it works, and they're selling it for $50. Okay. I'm gonna bet that doesn't work. To $479 for a silver one. Holy shit. $1,000. That's crazy. Like, I just don't think that it's realistic to expect these devices to last forever, obviously. And I don't think it's reasonable to expect people to buy new hardware every time they want to play an old game. New hardware. Old hardware. To rebuy new old hardware. If something fails. And they can't fix it. Because where the hell are you going to buy buy parts for a PS2? Not like they're making new parts for it. There are like third-party parts for it that you can maybe like buy and use, but they're not going to be that common. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with all this. It's just, I think it's crazy to, one, cut yourself off from potential profits, because you'd sell these old games. People will buy them. I'm not saying that they're going to buy them in droves. Like, when Mortal Kombat 12 or whatever game Netherrealm was working on now, there's rumors they might be working on a Marvel fighting game, which would be interesting, seeing as how DC owns... Well, DC's owned by Warner, and obviously Marvel's owned by Disney, so I don't see that happening, but hey, who the hell knows? But the idea that they're just going to cut themselves off from that potential revenue stream and also lose out on all of this when I know Netherrealm is super passionate about their games. Like, if you just follow Ed Boon on Twitter, he talks about Mortal Kombat more than anything else. He gets super excited every time they get to do a new side project. Like, for the movie, he was super excited. For the anime series that they got coming out for both Injustice and Mortal Kombat, he's super excited, and I'm super excited for him. So to know that that team puts, like, their souls into the game, and I don't know if it's a decision that they make internally or a decision that Warner Brothers makes for them, but to know that these games are lost to time is really... I mean, I think it's kind of fucked up. So anyway, we want to hear your guys' thoughts on all this. You know, do you think there are any games that needed to be preserved that weren't? Any games that maybe were lost to time that you wish you could play on new hardware now? Or maybe a game that didn't need to be preserved that is being, you know, made to be backwards compatible or remastered or anything of that nature. So we look forward to hearing what you guys think. You know, leave us a comment in the section down below. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and on Twitch. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching Our Life in Pixels. And, yeah, tune into the podcast on Friday. You know, come talk to us and chat. We'll see you there. Bye!